Hey guys. So today we're going to be doing something a little different than my normal. We're going to, I'm looking for a tool real quick. We're going to be taking a vinyl decal and taking it apart, putting it on tracing paper, and then showing you how that goes step by step. I'm looking for my weeder, which is a weird name for it in my opinion, but here we go. Okay, so move my phone out of the way. So I have the contact tracing paper. Sorry, phone ring. I got a roll of it from the lady that makes my decals now, which if you want to get in contact with her, I'm trying to get it to focus. It's not going to focus, but I'll put the information in the description. It's Amber Scott at Amby's Monkey Business. And normally she does this whole thing for me, but I wanted to kind of see, and I wanted to have both pieces of the vinyl. So I didn't just want the image, but I also wanted the surrounding part so that I had like a stencil for future use. So she left the last few that I ordered like this so that I could do it myself and have whichever I wanted. So this is actually a piece for my nephew's birthday. It's Spiderman. I know you can't really see it right now, but hopefully soon. And this is my first time doing it, so we'll see how it goes. So I laid out the roll, and then I cut a piece of the transfer paper for the size that I needed it. I made it a little larger on this side and a little larger at the top, but for the average size of what I need. And then you decide which one you want, which I'm going to be using the actual body of Spider-Man and his name on an art piece now. And then later I'm going to use the outline for a future piece. So I want to try to keep both pieces intact. And the easiest way to do that is to remove the larger section and then sit to the side upside down. And then I'm going to take off the more detailed pieces with the transfer paper. And then I will put the large piece back on this mat so that it's still sticky and can still be used because it's on the paper right now. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to, and from what I'm understanding, is you start at one of the corners and you pull back in about a 45-degree angle. And if you have anything that sticks, you just take your weeder and help pull it up. Now I'll have a few spots like the inside of the A and the D and stuff that I'll have to transfer myself. But everything else should pretty much transfer easily. And you just make sure that everything stays down that needs to stay down for the one piece. And then I'm just going to kind of peel from the bottom up. And the point is to make sure you peel it toward itself so that it doesn't stick to anything else. And it just kind of rolls up as such. And any spots like that you need to help, you just help them along. Okay. I'm just going to pull this out from under. Normally if I had an extra piece of the backing from the vinyl decal, I would just place this on that, but I don't have an extra piece. So I'm just going to slide this underneath another vinyl decal so that the sticky part stays up. And we'll maneuver it in a minute. I'm going to just slide it out of the way for a second. And then all of the little pieces that go in here, I have to remove those as well and set them to the side. Because which I'm not going to use the name again, I don't think, but I'm still going to set these to the side just in case. And I'm just going to sit them over here on my pad. If it'll let go of my weeder. It doesn't want to let go. Okay. And the same thing right here inside the R. And they're just a bunch of little triangles, so I kind of want to make sure that I put them in a special order over here to the side. It's taking a minute, you guys, because it doesn't want to let go of my weeder. It just wants to stick. Which, normally, in the future when I do this, I will have an extra piece of this paper. I'm actually just going to do that. I'm just going to put it over here. Because it doesn't want to let go of my weeder. Because I'm not going to be putting transfer paper on this side. And if you can't get up under it, you can always push the paper from the bottom. But the cut should be good enough to get the weeder in. Well, I had it up. There we go. There's the P, D, A, and the R. Okay, so that's everything from this part. And then right here we've got a couple tiny spots. Okay, so this is the actual decal here that I will be using on this piece. So we're going to go ahead and use the transfer paper. And from what I'm understanding is that you pick a corner. I've got paint on my hands. Okay. And you get the tracing paper. And you place it down on your piece. And then you want to take a tool. They have the Cricut tools, just something with a flat edge. You can use a credit card. I even have one of the spatulas from Dollar Tree. It's a Betty Crocker rubber spatula. So just whatever. And you just want to keep as many bubbles out of it as possible. and just slowly put it down. And you can peel it back up if you need to, if there's a bunch of bubbles or whatnot. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way, so that's very hard. I'm almost wondering if you could use this to put those on, but it's not going to be as firm. I'm going to sit it to the side in case I want to reuse it for something. And just go back through and make sure you get all the bubbles out. You can always lift it back up if you need to. And then what she said to do, after you press it really hard this way, she said to flip it over and rub on the back. And the reason you do this is because the Cricut machine or whatever decal machine you use cuts into it and it leaves a groove, and sometimes those decals get stuck in the groove. So if you rub it really well on the back, it helps release it from the backing and put it on the actual tracing paper so that the decal is easier to get off. And this is called varnishing, by the way. And then the way you know if it's done good enough is if you turn it over, and of course 45 degree, and you start peeling up and the whole piece comes like this. Okay, so his head didn't come. So I'm going to put it back down, get bubbles out, and I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to varnish it a little bit more. Okay, and then we're going to flip it back over and try again. I'm trying to pull this way so that my hand is not in the way. His head still didn't transfer. Okay. Interesting. She said sometimes it could be difficult. So I'm going to focus on the head area real quick for a minute. Again, this is the first time I'm doing it, so we're learning together. Okay, now let's try it. Boom. Still not. Let's try it this way and see if that causes it to pick it up. Nope. Okay, guys. So I've got a lot more varnishing to do, evidently. Okay, I'm going to turn it over. And she actually did mention that this is not her normal tracing paper, this Contact brand, and that she's going to be getting a different tracing paper in the future. Still no. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can just peel it up with my weeder ever so slightly, as such, and just get it started and see if starting it like that will help it continue. Okay. There we go. Found a hack. So, ta-da. I'm going to set this to the side because we're going to put the other Spider-Man on it. But I'm going to bring this canvas here that I've been told several times by multiple people that it looks like Spider-Man. And I'm going to kind of decide where I want to put him. I'm going to eyeball it. I know I want him to where most of his body is red and blue. This does have one coat of varnish on it. It says it's best when putting on any acrylic or water-based paints to have a coat of varnish down before you put it on paint, the tracing paper, that is. Okay, so if I place it there, most of him will be... Okay, so I'm going to try to line it up at the bottom, but I'm not going to let the rest touch yet, because I do want to make sure that I'm pretty well lined up. Peel it back off for a minute. That's why she's going to start using the contact paper that has the grid on it to make it much easier to line up. Okay. And now we're going to do the same thing that we did earlier, but we're just going to varnish it to the canvas. I'm not pressing down too hard right now because I don't want to put pressure on the canvas. You can always slide something underneath it. I normally slide puppy pads underneath and fill in the void so that I can push down. I have varnished onto canvas. I've actually done a few really nice pieces. Those videos are uploading as we go. By the time you see this, you've probably seen at least one or two of those. Okay, now we're going to see if that is varnished good enough. It's always hard to do on the parts where the wood is because it's unlevel. Also, another way to keep it from being so hard to come off, I've heard, is to take the transfer paper, if it's real sticky, and stick it to a microfiber cloth a couple times and then put it on your decal. Okay, you're supposed to pull at a 45-degree angle. And this decal is not going to stay on here. This decal is going on so that I can paint over it. And then once I paint over it, I'll be peeling this decal up. So everywhere there's a decal, you'll be able to see what's underneath it as the pour, and everything else will be a solid color. Either black or red, I'm thinking, in this case. Now, some people reuse these, and it is tacky enough to where I can if I want to. So I am going to put it back down on the contact paper sheet. I don't think I'll reuse it. I don't think I'm going to need to. But I'm putting it here just in case. And moving it to the side. Because I do have a whole roll. So this is the piece, and I will be painting over all of this, and then once the paint is dry, I will be taking my weeder, which this is my weeder, by the way, guys, and peeling up each individual piece of the decal. So yeah, this is going to be a really fun birthday present that we're working on. So I'm going to set this to the side. I know this is a longer video than normal, and hopefully you guys will stick with me. I'm going to peel these pieces up very carefully. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to pull this one down, and I don't need any of this over here. So I'm actually going to trim it, that way I can leave those there until I get this down. It's so sticky. I'm not going to worry about it being completely straight. I mainly just want to get it trimmed so that I can transfer this over and not mess up this that I want to use as a future stencil. Okay. I'll move the piece out from under it. And I'm just going to carefully flip it over. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to do it a different way. I'm learning with you guys. This is the first time I'm doing it, so I think I'm going to take this piece and flip it. That way I can line it up with the top. Okay. And get all the bubbles out, because I do need this to stick when I'm going to use it as a stencil. And yes, a lot of people are going to go, you could just print another one and save all this time and effort. But I don't have a decal machine, and if I'm going to get both pieces for the same price anyway, you know, it's just easier for me to take the extra time and effort and do. So now I just have to put these pieces where they go. So we have the A. I need to pick up with the weeder. And just line it up. And then once you do all this, go ahead and put your tracing paper on it. And then you can just leave it on the backing, and then it's just ready to go for when you're ready to go. And you don't have to worry about anything else. Then we've got the R. I think it's backwards. I'm going to go ahead and varnish that on with my weeder. Then we have a D. And get lined up straight. And get that varnished on. Then we have a P. And then we just have a couple pieces up here. And if you didn't put it back exactly where it went, which I didn't, I actually put it upside down, I'm just going to look at the piece I have here so that I know where exactly it's going to go. And it's going to go right under his hands, up some, and at an angle. Okay, and final piece. Sticky side. Okay. It actually needs to go up. The smaller pieces went in perfect. We didn't have any issues. Now this larger piece just wants to, it's because it wants to stick down before you want it to. So I get it where I want it and then it sticks before I can move it. Okay, let me burnish this piece down that keeps sticking up. Okay, now let me make sure that's where I want everything. I think this needs to come up to about right here so that this hand isn't